Switch it up. We're going to the blockchain Emporium now. Okay, so look, because the blockchain Emporium's so new, who knows what the heck these prices are going to be? We have ways to compare them to Engine X. We know. Here are the things that we know. We know that a majority of players are coming into the. I mean, as soon as this is launched, not only for non-members, but as soon as it got launched for members, founders, there's very few of us, right? There's like 320 something of us, or around that range. So the second got opened up to members when liquidity really started, right? The very first day as a founder, I came in and I tried, making some purchases here or there, but there's just very little activity with only 300 players, so that's rough. Um, a lot of blockchain items feel very low. I understand where you're coming from. Maybe we can go through some of that. I've done a few rants on the meta with the gray relics. Yeah, I think. I mean, I don't remember hearing you on your stream about that rant, but like just the way you presented it right now makes complete sense. Definitely something I'm going to look into after the stream's over. But going back to the blockchain Emporium, so what the moment that it got activated, is the moment when the supply hits the market. All this supply came on board, right? We have players. We have a lot of impatient players. That's number one. We have a lot of we have a lot of people that are wanting to sell and now have the ability to sell. And it's hard to predict out, how many players actually decided to be buyers in this market. I decided I was going to be one of them, and came in. For you guys that follow me on Twitter, the Twitter handle is fmunozcpa. In case you don't know how to spell my last name, there it is right there for you, so you can see how to spell it. You can find me on Twitter there. So I came in with a roughly, I don't remember what the exact number was, but it was like 340. I think it was 340,000 shadow stones. Let me see if I can find it on Twitter really fast, and I'll pull it up on the screen for you guys. So I decided to come on in and play on this early market. I've been doing that from the beginning. So when the in-game marketplace, where was my last post? Where's my last? See, this is the weird one. I know I posted it, but it doesn't appear on my feed. And then what I have to do, how did I find it last time? I go here? No. As you can tell, I'm not super familiar with maybe if I just go to notifications. Let me in this one? No. I know it's here. It's after this. It's after this. This one. I don't know why it doesn't appear on my feed, but whatever. So I came in with how much? 334K in terms of shadow stones, like getting ready to be able to play in this market. And like, look, it's risk. Like, I fully understand the risks, and that's why I'm willing to do these kind of things with the game. The way I've always seen it from day one, when I started playing back in August 2020, can you guys see my screen? You can. Let me switch it back. When you guys came in, when I started playing in 2020, June, July, I thought it was very important when Cliff went free to play, he introduced this in-game gold economy. He introduced the virtual marketplace. When that happened, I knew immediately. I was already enjoying the game. I hadn't really even bought any blockchain items, but I was lucky enough to be able to turn in for some quests, and I got my first blue. So I was excited about what the future of the economy can have. I also understood that very few players are willing to take the risk, even if it means losing, which it's completely possible. So what I decided to do is I said, look, I want to help kickstart the economy. I put in roughly, I think I did like $500 of pendants, three or four times when that original marketplace started, and was helping selling pendants to get the gold flowing, right? Because once the pendants come in, now free to play players are able to get membership. Once they get membership, they like the value added to the game for that player is even more. It makes it more likely for them to feel like this is a game I want to invest in, or not invest in, but I want to participate in. And then they buy a pendant, and then they decide to flip it, right? So it's all, it's all a big chain. It's all a big waterfall. It's all a cycle. It's all circular. So I decided to do that back then. It was major success. Obviously I was able to jump to the top of the leaderboards in the very beginning, so that was huge. and just the fun that I had with the game was amazing, right? Like Cliff puts it very beautifully about it being, you know, not only this isn't just a game about this is not only a play to earn journey. This is also like it's also a game, you know, the fun like and I would argue comparing it to other blockchain games like this is one of these are one of the games that are built out enough to the point where a gamer can like interpret the level of fun that they're having. You know, all of you that are playing, you all know what I'm talking about. You know, if you're brand new, wait for you to hit your first blockchain item, and then you'll know what I'm talking about. But yeah, no, it's exciting. And so I decided again, you know, understanding the risks, understanding, you know, I mean, we don't know. Like, this is a brand new patch. Development in the video game industry and software development in general is extremely difficult. There could be hundreds of bugs, you know, and you know, we never know how it's going to play out. But I was willing because I believe in Lost Relics so much, and more specifically, believe in Cliff's abilities. You know, regardless of what happens with the game, like the man is extremely talented and a professional businessman. You know, with years of experience in his craft, it's hard for me not to respect that level of dedication and that level of work. So for me, I mean, I'm coming in and I'm risking the equivalent of, you know, $4,000 or whatnot. But he's coming in and he's risking his livelihood. You know what I mean? So in comparison, it's not even fair, you know, but I understand where we're coming from. So that being the case, this is obviously going to be a buyer's market. People are wanting to cash out. People are wanting to go ahead and make some turn their lucky finds into actual engine, into actual cryptocurrency. In this case, turning them into shadow stones. Later point in time, there's going to be more functionality with shadow stones. But yeah, that's where where we came in on understanding that prices are going to fluctuate. That being the case, I'll go. What I'm going to do is since this is so brand new, we're just going to look at what has been updated and sold so far, get an idea of where people are at, how much activity has occurred, and go down the list, you know, in order by price. And I'm doing it by price because not everything has been sold. So let's just go ahead and look at it in terms of over this 24-hour period. What are the items that are in demand for the buyers that have come in on this market, which are going to be significantly less than the sellers, which is why we're having a drop in price. So obviously we came in on the big purchase was the Ruby Egg, coming in here for about 1,300 engine, which I would say roughly comes close to what engine prices were. I would think it would be safe to say that the more rare and the more coveted the item, the less the price will fluctuate. You know, it's still going to go up a lot in general, guys. It's still going to go up a lot. Don't assume there's safety there. This is an interesting one, the Photonic Incubator. The very first time people are able to sell this item, coming into around 300 or a little bit less than 400 engine, which makes sense, you know, comparing it to where engine prices were for other legendary relics like the golden egg, you know, like the harvester, like the pumpkin. Looking at it like that, you know, people are starting to make an idea of where they think it falls within that level of importance. Granted, those other items obviously haven't sold here, so those prices can change. Selena Stormguard, gotta love it. One of the very few items, you know, back in Christmas, the item got left there for almost a month. You know, I was very surprised on how long it stayed on the marketplace. And I remember we had an influx of new gamers. I was watching a bunch of people on Twitch, and you know, all of them just started looking at the shop, and then, you know, within the course of 24 hours, the last ones got sold. So very interesting. Another Easter item. So we're pricing it at around 154 engine. You know, drop off the last two digits to get your engine value. It might be easier for some of you players that are in the market longer. If you're brand new and haven't been trading on Engine X, your mind is going to be stuck with Shadow Stones, which is totally cool. It, you know, since I've been around for the longest time, it's easier for me to view it in Engine right now. And as time progresses, it'll make easier for me to look at it and think about it in Shadow Stone terms. The Crown got sold for 115. That's a really interesting one. 15% bonus to gold. Two of those got moved. I don't think there's too many of these available to sell, so that's really interesting. Flaming Jill came in for 100 engine. Wrathcrown Egg for 96. Then we jumped down to weapons, legendary weapons. 93 engine, 75 engine, 61 engine, 55 engine. Okay, so the purple mushroom came in at 51. So I think it's safe to say. Well, let's go through this. Let's go all the way through the gold oaks really fast. So the barley grains, I think this might have been just from watching in-game chat. This might have been Charizard or Drifting coming on in. Pretty smart. Execution in terms of the overall market. Just been reading what people have been saying. 51 engine here. Assuming engine, it's a little bit more than $1 an engine, right? So somewhere between $50-$60. I would say $60. Starlight came in and got bought too. Same price range. Penny Presto at 50. And yeah, obviously the costumes would be. It's going to be interesting to see how these fluctuate over time. Nebulon came in at 43 and Gold Oak at 35. So if we just look at volume, Incubator is here leading the way with 13, followed by the Golden Oak at 11. So roughly looking at these prices from what I know from Engine X, we're looking at like a 50% pullback here ish on some of these items, not on all of them. Some of them are holding trend. So it's funny because like 50% pullbacks, they're interesting because so I've been in the collectible space for years, right? Operating, owning and selling and trading sports cards and memorabilia with my father for the past, honestly, since I was born, right? So 30 plus years, not really getting into it in depth until I got into my 20s, but we travel across the state and go to national sports card conventions, taking like, a significant amount of inventory to set up to sell and buy and whatnot, so we're operating a business, on that end. So I think it's really interesting when I compare these types of markets, whether it's Engine X or the Royal Emporium to that, to those other collectible markets, because it's a very common practice in memorabilia to, regardless of bulk orders, like obviously when you make bulk orders, you get better deals, right? But it's very common for when market corrections happen for the 50% dump to be the standard. I think it's probably just because the majority of collectors can easily like rationalize that in their mind, cutting the price in half. So it being the fact that we're in a buyer's market and seeing that some of these items are 50% off what they're saying on Engine doesn't surprise me at all. As a matter of fact, I would assume that it was going to be, I frankly did assume that it was going to be the standard. What happens next? Who knows? We're only 24 hours in. 15% might not be the floor. We could continue to drop. But when you look at it, like that's from the buyer's perspective. Looking at it from the seller's perspective, a lot of these items are selling, and now players are able to like. There's been I don't want to say holes in their loadout, but there's been items that they've been desperately craving for month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months now, right? And these items may have been some of the items that they found along their way on their journey. This represents the opportunity for them to fill their holes, to get them to the place where they want to be in the game for whatever reason. Maybe they want to farm a particular map, and now they're able to do it if they sell these items. Taking a 50% haircut to do that doesn't, some people are going to say like, it's dumb. Why are people dropping and selling these prices? Like these prices are too low or whatever. But you have to understand the other half of the coin. Like players believe that at least it looks like based on the numbers that people that are improving their loadout right now believe that improvement is worth a 50% cutback, because whatever they decided to pick up or whatever they decided to get definitely provided them back value. Now they're giving up on some of these items, and a lot of these items don't have use, so the risk is much higher. The Starlight doesn't have a use right now. So are people wanting to gamble? With $50 on the line, if you don't know what the item's going to be worth, it's hard to say. But maybe that $50 finishes your relic loadout that you want, and now you're able to farm and enjoy and stream more, or go into a new dungeon, and that could be the decision maker. Looks like we jump now in here into the epics. You guys know from my run that I did pick up a chalice. Since I did pick it up, I'm willing to share this one price, but I did get it at 2,200. I think it was 2,400 actually. So someone might have come down a little bit, somewhere between 22 and 24. you saw the way that I make purchases, right? I have a range, and anywhere that it fills, I'm okay with. So an amber, Olkepthian amber went. Some frostbites are leading in terms of volume. Obviously, one of the most popular items in the game, and I think more than likely because this is the range. The epic tier is the higher range for, I would say, a majority of players in the game. So it doesn't make sense. Yeah, see, and these arrow piercers too. Maybe I need to look at these numbers. Yeah, some ingots, 22 engine, 22 engine, 20 engine, 19 engine. I wouldn't be some dukes, decrease at 19, 17, 17. I should be rounding when I'm telling you these numbers. 20 silver rings, rawhide, coming in the same range. So, it's really interesting that you don't see dramatic, like if we were talking about this in engine, which remember, this is where I'm coming from. If you're talking about it in engine, we see a price difference between 25 engine down to 15 engine, 12 engine, 11 engine, 10 engine. So between 10 to 25 engine, right? So yeah, I mean, going back through my mind when I look at epic items on Engine X, like, yeah, I believe the price range was somewhere between 15 and 30. So if we had a 50% pullback, and then that would put us in this range. So that makes sense to me. Doesn't mean we can't continue to drop further. But yeah, the trend continues to look this way. Obviously these are not refreshed. I believe the Emporium refreshes once a day, maybe more often now. I'm not sure. So this is probably from the very first 24 hours. Whether these are good prices or bad prices, that's up to you to decide. But more than willing, like I said, like if you want to go into some of like the theory crafting about why something's worth a price, I'm willing to have those discussions. Not necessarily willing to say like whether the Storm Thistle is a buy at 1,500. I'm not willing to do that, but I would be willing to have the conversation on why would someone want to pay 15, or why would someone want to pay 2,000, or why would someone want to pay 10. Like those are, I think, where I'm able to provide more value to you guys, because you have to, the thing I keep hearing from a lot of players right now is that they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. If you don't know what to do, chill. Just chill. You're good. Let it play out. Let it play out. And as you're learning and as you're seeing these price changes, you'll come to your own particular opinions. So yeah, there you go. But like I said, like thinking about the market, obviously we have more sellers than buyers. I think what's going to happen with these prices is really going to depend on how many people brought Shadowstones into the market to buy. I think this is a buyer's market. We know how much I brought in from what we showed you on Twitter. I would assume, I have no clue here. I haven't talked with a lot of the other players. I've actually been pretty much AFK really for the past week, been playing, but just haven't had the chance to really stream or, pop into Discords and have a lot of these discussions. But I would assume maybe somewhere between 5 to 10 players decided to do what I did, come on in and to be a buyer in this market. At what engine price, at what engine they brought in, or Shadowstones they brought in, who knows? We'll have to see. I do think it's really good that a lot of these items do look like they've got what's the word? That because there was an actual transaction on the Emporium, now we have something for all the new players. Like, give it 3-4 days, 1 week, and now people will start coming up with trends and making their own decisions. Let's see. You jumping back in with the chat. Skywise has jumped on in. What's going on, my friend? Thank you guys for jumping on in. Let's see. How do you let's see. Bezos at the end. What's it say? Regis Bezos jumping on in, says that he got the Frostbite Phantom for 68 ENG 3 days ago. Yeah, so price got cut in half for you, right? So like, here's the thing, I'm not sure how long Bezos you've been around, or I don't know how to pronounce your name, man. Give me a little leeway here, but One of the things you do need to be careful with this is something, and then I don't know how long you've been in the game, but for all players, highly recommended. These markets are illiquid. It's going to take time. Because of that, you know, because of that, it is possible for these changes to occur. I think you have to expect them. I think all players should be extremely cautious. Extremely cautious 1 week prior to an update and 1 week after an update. You know, if you come in understanding that an update's about to happen, we have no clue what that's going to be, man. Like, Cliff needs to have the right and the ability to change this game in whatever manner he sees fit. If he thinks the Frostbite Phantom is overpowered, he needs to be able to nerf it 50%. You know, to be able to fix it or do whatever he needs to do to fix these items, which means your purchase, you know, is going to be affected. On top of that, when we know that Cliff is about to make changes, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to predict what those changes will be and then predict how the market will react. So you can see it both ways. You can see it as a big opportunity if you think you know where the game's going. You could see it as a big hindrance if you think everyone's assuming one thing's going to happen with the update, but you don't think that one thing's going to happen. The one thing that is common in both scenarios is that risk is extremely high, which also means reward is extremely high. You know, also don't assume that your purchase for 68 engine, seeing this at 30 engine, you know, 3,000 Shadowstones, don't assume that this is the correct price either. Remember, this is probably a more illiquid market than Engine X might be. So it could be that the players that are buying now, which is, I mean, you know, one of my ideas here, obviously, coming in and buying a bit and selling a bit, is that this game is going to grow regardless of what happens now. I don't think anything that happens within the next, honestly, within the next month, should be viewed as like the foundation for what these items will be worth. This is just the beginning. After 1 month of the system being out, it'll be much more stable, I would say, in terms of prices, and you'll have a lot more ideas about what these items can be worth. So there's 30k epic weapons and 3,000 players. So now you're going down the thought process that I'm thinking about. I think one of the most important things to think about within Lost Relics is the network effects, is how many players are coming into the game. If you're looking at it from supply and demand, we're talking about like how many buyers versus how many sellers. Howling Mad coming on in on the chat. Thank you for the follow, my friend. Keep up the amazing work. You are killing it at the top of that leaderboard. Super excited to see where you go from here. But yeah, just coming right back really to, and welcome to the strike team, obviously, my friend. Going back to where it was. Yeah. So don't assume these are correct prices. Don't, you know, it could be not correct both ways, up or down. So that covers, looks like those, we get to see a range here, right? We got to see a range here of between 30 engine and coming down to the bottom of, and 10 engine, right? So let's just do this real quick. If I switch back here, let's go back to the website. This is my Twitter. Pull down the Twitter. Let's go to Lost Relics. Let's look at the marketplace. Let's just look. I don't even care because this matters. This really matters about like what you're buying. But I'm just, for right now, to make it quick, we're looking at just purchases and anything that's epic. Okay, anything that's epic. So Valkyrie, 24 engine. Skypire, 35 engine. Wings of Surety, 30 engine. 30 engine. Now, those were all weapons, so that obviously affects the price. Players are going to demand, you know, new players always follow the same thought process. You want to I'm not saying this is what you should do. I'm just saying this is what I see. I always see players saying the very first thing they want is a weapon. And they want a weapon so they can progress to the next dungeon. So it makes sense that weapons hold a premium, you know. You know, so if we jump out of, weapons here, 20, 25. Let's see if we can find some non-weapons. There's a weapon. Amulet, 20. So there's one at 20. Come on, load for me, baby, load for me. Another amulet, 20. Another amulet at 20. A pearl at 40. Those were weapons. You know, going back to what you were saying also about based on how many players are playing, you can compare also the numbers of how rare these items are and understand like what are going to be the things that are in demand that people can't get a hold of. Rudy Blue, well, that's a pet, right? So 100. Not very many. Insulin Clay, the clay for 14. Maybe the epic tier is the harder. It's harder to do it in the epic tier. I should be doing this in the rare tier because there's way more activity. Well, let me just see if I can find it. So we found like 20s, we found 40s, on the high end and the low end. Weapon. Because most of these are not weapons, right? If I go look back, yeah, most of these are resources and relics. So okay, keep coming. So yeah, maybe we should try this again with the with rares because there's just way much more activity. Extract for 20. Weapon. Yeah, okay, we'll cut it here. So like we just saw like 5 or 6 and they were between 20 and 40 engine, right? So if we come here, not counting weapons, going to the top, weapon. Okay, so 23, 22, 17, 19, 16, 15, 12. Okay, just go to the bottom. 10. So between 10 and 20, let's just say 25. We'll round it up. 25 and 10. And we just looked for like 4 days past and we saw 4 or 5 and it was 40 to 20. And so again, because this is a buyer's market, we were saying, like I was saying, 50% pullbacks just makes sense to me considering like the years of history that I've had in the collectible market. So if they're going to go from 40 to 20, get it cut in half, now we're looking at between 20 and 10. And these prices are pretty much there for now. 23, yeah, between 23 and 10. Yeah, 50% haircut. You know, it's applying across the board and it looks like it's not, you know, it is what it is. Okay, going down to the relics. Ooh, that's interesting. 100. See, now there's obviously more. How many supply? 4,500. So there's going to be more available to sell. So this is actually probably rares will make the most sense in finding out the correct price sooner than the other ones because there's just going to be way more activity. And like I said, I would assume, I don't know, what do you guys think? Do you guys think we're at like, do you think the average player in the game right now is looking for rares? Or do you think they're higher level and wanting to get epics? Like, that's a really good decision to make. I don't know the answer to that. While you guys think about that, let's just see. Yeah, having Howling in here for sure, bro. Keeping it English. Yeah, brother. Unfortunately, I don't speak your language. I understand Spanish. Feel free to write in Spanish. My Spanish is very weak, but we'll be okay. So yeah, those keys are popping off. You know, I have a few of these. I was really tempted on selling and or opening. I didn't really know what to do. I could open, let's see, I only have one of these, but I have enough chests. Let's see, the cobalts, yeah, I have 4 cobalt chests. Junipers, I have 3. Bros, I have 2. So yeah, let's see, what are the items with high volume? The relics, 100 here, 60 on the walnuts, 90 on the cookies. I mean, these are the best. I mean, these are the healing. Excuse me. These are the healing relics inside the game. So, inside the rare tier. So it makes sense that these are in demand. It's going to help players' progression a lot more, right? So maybe that's the way we should be looking at this market. Is like, I guess if you can assume what you think the average player in Lost Relics is looking for, then you could assume where the demand is, and that could be the thing that leads the market, and then everything settles after that. Like, you know, who knows? The brand new Scorpion Stingers, that's really cool too. Like, obviously, Scorpion Stingers are falling right now. People are like, you're a brand new player. You hit a Scorpion Stinger yesterday, and you just turned it into, 5 engine, $6-7 for playing the game for 24 hours. I think that's really cool. You just opened 2 chests. The first one you got 160 gold. The second one you got green scissors. Cool. Cool. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with the chests. Again, like a lot of you guys that have been watching and hanging out with me in the past know that I'm not the biggest fan of of opening packs, like when it comes to collectibles. And I'm not the guy that goes and buys a box of the newest set that comes out and rips them all looking for the diamonds in the rough. I'm the guy who buys the packs at the wax sealed, holds it for a year, waits for everybody to crack them. Now the demand is higher if you want to still keep cracking, and then I sell them. Now, obviously, I mean, at the last show that I went to in Houston about a month ago, I had a sealed box that at the time was going for like $600-700. Obviously, bought it retail for $40-50. So selling it at 700 is great. Like I was like, hell yeah, I'll take the win, right? The guy it's part of the game. He opened it right there in front of me. He pulled a $2,000-3,000 item, $3,000 Zion Williams rookie card. So like, that's the nature of the game. You know what I mean? And I'm the guy. Just how I work. It's much more easier for me to rationalize selling than opening. But I know that I'm the minority. I am not the majority here, and I'm going to be missing out. But opening 1 or 2 is not that big of a. I mean, if I open a rose storage chunk, I'm not worried about it. Like we'll be fine, even if I hit nothing. But just natural tendencies for like me as an individual. Everybody's different, and I've definitely lost a lot on that selling something that rather than opening it and hitting major items. But everyone has their tendencies and their little quirks. That might be that's probably going to be one of mine. So we got 80 abrasive papers, 50 of the wheat stones. I'm just looking for what has activity. See, okay, so 200 on the conquest, which is amazing. This is my very first rare weapon that I got, was the conquest. So like that holds a special place in my heart. I'll never forget it. But 200 on it makes me feel good that players are saying that they're wanting to progress, to go from greens to blues, right? That's probably what happened is players sold a lot of their stuff and used the profits to get this. And this is the thing they're going to be using 24 hours a day while they're playing. So of course they'll sell all the other things that are just sitting in their inventory to get something that gives them more utility. At the end of the day, I guess what we're going to be talking about is like, how do we determine? I mean, there's a lot of different buckets on how these things get valued, right? There's liquidity risk. There is scarcity, like how rare these items are. There's utility, which is probably, we'll come back to utility. There's collectability. There is, there's a lot of different ways, a lot of different buckets that all play into valuing a certain item. The utility aspect of it is probably going to be the most intriguing part because it's the thing that video games, it's the thing that gets highlighted when you marry video games with blockchain technology, utility. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see, like, I don't know, maybe if Conquest continues to sell and a resource is at a lower price, like maybe we can make if a resource, let's go to a resource. Let's say, I'm just going to go to a cheap one so that just for comparison's sake. That's not a pet. The amulet, like, what does the amulet do? It doesn't have an effect. Well, none of them do. A lot of them don't. So let's say 100. So that's $1, 1.5 engine, right? And we jump up to $3.05 engine. So a $2 price swing, right? So like, my question would be: is the difference in $2 the specific amount that's like? Is that the engine value, the dollar value, the shadow stone value, however you like to think about it? Is that the price of utility? I mean, who knows? Slight Nuggle jumping on in, subbing again, coming in with a tier 1 sub. Why can't I hear? I actually can't hear the notifications, guys. I just realized that now. I should have. Oh man, I'm an idiot. I've just been looking at this. So it doesn't really. You didn't miss too much. But why can't I hear the widgets? Okay, I'll have to take a look at that after the stream. But yeah, I think that covers it, guys. For the most part, day 1 of looking at the Blockchain Emporium. You know, I think it's really interesting to see a lot of these items. Look, 450 on the steel ingots. So engineers are coming in and buying it. Maybe a smart move, may not be a smart move. Look, some of these pets are moving. I think pets are going to be interesting. Pets are the area I would actually defer to you all's judgment, because pets and cosmetics are like harder for me to understand what they're valued with. I wasn't part of the Fortnite craze, so I don't really know how people interpreted like, oh man, you have that season 1 skin or that season 2 skin, or like the season 1 skin should be $50 more than the season 2 skin. Like I don't know that stuff. Like I'm not familiar with it. Definitely wanting something to learn about. But you know, I'm just more cautious on it, on speaking about it, since I don't feel as knowledgeable on the topic. What are the uncommons that have movements? 400 red rock die. I loved farming those up. The red rock dies. 785 blue blossoms. Valicy, I hope you're in here somewhere. I hope you're able to make the flip, because I know you've been trying to flip those, and it's harder to flip them on Engine X, you know. So I feel you. 300, 200 crystal cloths, 500 delta diamonds. Very interesting, very interesting. Well, I think that covers it for right now, guys, on the Blockchain Emporium.